Wrong way. It all started with Oprah. Back in 1996, she popularized the book club when she launched Oprah's Book Club. Now, if you Google celebrities with book clubs, the list is endless. Reese Witherspoon hosts a very popular book club that reads a different title every month. Morning talk show host Jenna Bush Hager has a book club that Today Show fans read along with. Even NFL star Andrew Luck has a book club. When you read a really great book, you're genuinely interested in what others think about it. You want to know their opinions on the characters and how they feel about the way the author chose to end the story. So many of us participate in book clubs in our personal or professional lives. It's the way that we read in the real world. In an effort to make students' experience in school as authentic as possible, we ought to offer them the opportunity to participate in student-led book clubs. Back in the fall of 2010, I was a 5th grade classroom teacher. I attended a one-day workshop at Teachers College at Columbia University. One of my sessions that day was on student-led book clubs. I learned about them, and I was hooked. The next day, I went to my principal and I pitched my idea to him. He was used to me coming to him with big ideas all the time, and he just said, "Stacy, how much money do you need?" So I told him whatever it would take to cover the cost of a set of books for my students to choose from, and that was it. About a week later, he came back to me with the news he had secured a little bit of funding and I could carry out my plan. That spring of 2011, I led book clubs in my classroom for the very first time. And I've been leading book clubs since then, either in my own classroom or through my work with teachers as a consultant and a coach. Book clubs always marked a turning point for my students. As soon as I let go of a little bit of the control, they took more ownership over their learning. They grew academically, they grew socially, and most importantly for me, they grew in their love of reading. It was everything I ever wanted for them. One of the reasons why book clubs are such a success is because they offer students choice, which ultimately leads to higher levels of engagement. This infographic on your left represents the model in many middle school and high school English language arts classes. The teacher selects one book and all of the students in the class read that same book. It's not necessarily at the independent reading level of all the students in the class, nor is it something that most of the students would have chosen for themselves. It's no surprise there's a whole lot of fake reading going on in the classrooms using this traditional model. It's no secret that assigned reading isn't great for motivation or fostering a lifelong love of reading. None of us love being told what to do. So why are we telling our kids what to read and what to think about? Research also tells us this is true. In a survey of 1,700 6th grade students, 42% reported that motivation to read was directly tied to having choice over what they read and having good choices available to them. These same students also described their most negative reading experiences as being directly related to assigned reading, which they found challenging and boring. So why not incorporate more choice into our classrooms? This infographic on your right illustrates the book club model. Students are placed into small groups based on their interests, their personalities, and their reading level. Each group is presented with 2 or 3 titles from which they can choose. Every single group reads a different book that they picked out. Some groups even read all the choices presented to them. They're reading more. It's amazing what happens when students take on some of the decision-making power. This photo on the left shows students picking out one of their book club titles. They read the blurb on the back, they flip through the chapters. It's the same way you or I would pick out a book at Barnes & Noble. It's the way that we choose what we read in real life. And these bookshelves are some of the shelves in classrooms running book clubs this year. It's just visually appealing to see all of the different titles available to the clubs. This student's quote speaks for itself. And if the worst part of book clubs is when the bell rings during the really good part, then I think we're doing something right. This quote comes from a 5th grade teacher who implemented book clubs for the first time this year. For her, the most rewarding aspect of this instructional model was that previously disengaged readers transformed into interested, engaged readers. Two other benefits of book clubs are community and collaboration. I love this quote by Richard Allington. This comes from his report, What Matters Most for Struggling Readers. He describes reading as a social event. To me, this is a lot like that Game of Thrones phenomenon. People dropped whatever it was that they were doing on Sunday night so they could watch the latest episode in order to take part in conversations about it the very next day. When we read or view something that really moves us, we want to share it with others. Our experience is enhanced when we share with others. Students learn a lot about working together during a book club unit. At the beginning of the unit, they watch a video of a book club and decide what they want theirs to look, sound, and feel like. Then they get together with the members of their club to create a contract based on these expectations. Students are really invested in this work because they're governing themselves. This quote on the right is from a 5th grade student's exit ticket. He was asked to reflect on what he was most excited about and most nervous about before starting in his club. He's most excited about learning about what other people think. It's a pretty sophisticated notion for a 5th grader. Book clubs are so powerful because students are learning from one another. They grow in their collaboration skills and they work towards common goals that they set for themselves. They're pushing the boundaries of their own thinking by listening to the ideas of others. In a book club unit, students work with a great deal of independence and agency. We're about to take a sneak peek into a club's meeting, and you'll see students doing all of the things that teachers are asking them to do all the time, but there's no teacher in sight.
Stick with how things were before.
Okay, maybe like he's like taking it like from perspective, like what he thinks like his perspective, like the U.S. is like when he's like trying to turn it in like the world as is.
Page 111, if Baba tells Diane, he says, "Goodbye, Jen, she's so talented."
They're taking turns talking. They're discussing pretty deep ideas, going back into the text to get evidence, all without a teacher prompting them to do so. These quotes from teachers all speak to the power of releasing a little bit more of the responsibility over to our students. Sometimes you have to trust the process, but in the end, the results are worthwhile. Last, but certainly not least, is the importance of providing students with an authentic learning experience. Book clubs mirror the way that we read in the real world. This is far more likely to develop a student's identity as a reader and to cultivate a love of reading in our students than any worksheet or series of assigned questions. Another piece of Allington's research that really shaped the way book clubs are structured is that the #1 way for students to move up levels of difficulty in reading is to read. Not to listen to a book, not to answer questions or do a worksheet about a book, to simply read. Book clubs offer students an opportunity to read every single day. This work is meaningful. It connects kids to one another and it connects them to the real world. This is the type of schoolwork our students deserve. As these quotes from students show, they're learning grade level skills, they're growing in their reading ability. When we give students a say over what they're learning, the learning will take place. So maybe you're a math teacher, you might teach art or French or science. Books don't necessarily have to be your medium. I encourage you to loosen the reins a little bit. Let go. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the results. Thank you.